For pretty much our entire lives, we've been told one story about plastic pollution. You know the one, it's all about our oceans. But it turns out there's a shocking new chapter to this story, one that's happening right over our heads in the very air we breathe. We're going to dive into this invisible cycle. And this quote, well, it pretty much sums up the old way of thinking. For more than 50 years, the narrative was simple. It was powerful. Plastic waste goes into the rivers and it all ends up in the sea. We honestly thought the whole problem was pretty much contained to the water. And this story, it was backed up by all those images we know so well, right? Those huge garbage patches swirling in the middle of the ocean, and those gut-wrenching photos of sea turtles and birds tangled in plastic. The thinking was, any plastic on land? Oh, it'll just get buried. And tiny plastic bits in the air? Just a little blip, not a big deal. They'll fall right back down.
But what if that whole story was just scratching the surface? What if the oceans were just one piece of a much, much bigger puzzle? This is the huge shift we're talking about today. The discovery that this problem is literally all around us and above us.
Scientists have a name for it, the atmospheric plastic cycle. And the key word here is cycle. See, it's not a one-way street to the ocean anymore. It's a fully connected system where these tiny plastic particles are constantly getting kicked up into the air, traveling all over the planet, and swapping between the land, the sea, and the sky. And if you want a sense of the scale we're talking about, just look at this number, 10,000. In some cities, scientists are finding up to 10,000 microplastic particles in a single cubic meter of air. That's the air you walk through, the air you're breathing in right now. And you might think, okay, that's just a city problem. But it's not. And this is what's really mind-blowing. Even in the most remote, supposedly pristine mountain ranges, far away from everything, hundreds, sometimes thousands of these plastic bits are literally raining down out of the sky every single day. There's nowhere to hide from it.
So how on earth is this even possible? I mean, how does a tiny fragment from your car tire end up way up in the troposphere, traveling across the world? Well, the process is actually a lot more systematic than you might think. It really just boils down to 4 key stages that create this nonstop loop. You've got emission, then transport, then deposition, and finally this really crucial last step called resuspension. Let's break them down real quick. Okay, step 1, emission. Where's all this plastic coming from? You might be surprised. The number one source, and it's not even close, is road traffic. Just the simple act of driving wears down our tires and brakes, and that sheds millions of these little plastic particles. After that, you've got synthetic clothes releasing fibers every time you wash them, and of course, all the plastic junk in the world slowly breaking apart. Now, once those particles are up in the air, they go on this incredible journey. They're so light they can just hang out in the atmosphere for weeks at a time. Within just a few days, they can cross an entire continent. And if they hitch a ride on the jet streams way up high, they can travel between continents no problem. Eventually, of course, they have to come down. That's deposition. But here is the real game changer. They don't just land and stay there. That's where resuspension comes in. The wind, or even just the turbulence from a passing truck, kicks these particles right back up into the air to start the whole cycle all over again. It is a constant, relentless recycling loop. Okay, so there's an invisible plastic cycle in the air. Big deal, right? So what? Well, the reason this matters, the reason this discovery changes everything, is because the implications for our health and for the entire planet are absolutely huge. The most direct risk is to us, to you and me. We're breathing this stuff in. The tiniest particles, the ones smaller than 10 micrometers, are so small they can sneak past our body's natural defenses and get lodged deep inside our lungs. And once they're in there, they can cause inflammation, and some may even be small enough to pass into our bloodstream. And I'm not trying to be alarmist, but look at this. The risk is serious. For some of the most common types of plastic fibers we breathe in, more than half of them can get stuck in our lungs permanently. Our bodies just can't get rid of them all. So this discovery, it represents a completely new reality. What we used to think was just a problem for the oceans is actually an issue for the entire planet. What seems like a local problem is truly global. And the plastic we all assumed just sank to the bottom of the sea, turns out it's cycling endlessly through the air we breathe. This changes the entire conversation. It elevates plastic pollution to what scientists call a planetary boundary threat.
That puts it on the same level of seriousness as climate change or the hole in the ozone layer. It's a fundamental threat to the stability of the systems that keep our planet running. And you can't fight a threat that big with small ideas. It means we have to completely rethink our approach. We need to start talking about putting plastic particles into our air quality standards. We have to get serious about controlling the sources, like tires and clothes. And it's going to take a massive global effort to monitor this and create policy, just like we do for every other major atmospheric pollutant. So all of this leaves us with a really big and, frankly, a pretty unsettling question. We have created a material that never truly goes away. And now we know it's become a permanent looping feature of our air, our soil, and our water. If that's the new reality, what does that really mean for the long-term future of our planet and for us?